The New York Knicks are 4-5 on this young season, and there's so much to go over. Rotations, defense, Mikal Bridges, Brunson's play, Cat's play. So let's do it.
Run that intro.
They're playing basketball. Basketball.
You're listening to the Knicks Nation podcast, where we've got all your Knicks needs covered.
Puts up a three. Bang! Bang! He ties the game!
Now, live from the city that never sleeps, here are your hosts, Anthony and Chris.
Knicks Nation, what's going on? Welcome to another podcast of the Knicks Nation podcast. Episode 86 of the Knicks Nation podcast on this Monday evening. Appreciate every single one of you hopping in here, joining us, talking New York Knicks basketball. The Knicks are 4-5 on this young season. Still super early, but there's a lot of stuff to get into, a lot of stuff to talk about. And Chris, what is going on?
Not much. Doing pretty well. Obviously, last game didn't go our way. A game where I thought the Knicks overall, played well for the majority of it, and then down the stretch just kind of fizzled out against the Indiana Pacers, team that I despise very much, especially our recent history with that team. But I'm all right, and I got a lot of questions, so, ready to talk Knicks. How you feeling, man?
Feeling okay. Look, we're going to get into a lot. Obviously, Mikal Bridges, rotations tonight. Brunson's been playing awesome. Cat's been playing awesome. But the real question to you guys and the real question to you, Chris, is it's only 9 games in. Less than 10 games played coming into the season. We looked at these first 10 games saying, look, it's a tough schedule, right? It's going to take these guys a while to form chemistry, take these guys a while to adjust to one another. And what we've learned so far is offensively, the Knicks have played really well offensively. As a team, they played well. They're scoring a lot. Their pace is actually, they're last in the NBA in pace right now, but that's not stopping them being a good offensive team. But I guess my question to you, Chris, is A, do the Knicks have issues? 2, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel with these issues?
Do the Knicks have issues? Yes, they do. They definitely have issues. It's kind of weird though, right? Because on the flip side, the Knicks offensively, they're a top 10 team offensively, right? But then, Thibs is only playing about 8 guys if you want to count, the 2 minutes he played Kolek the other night, really 7. So I think that has a lot to do with it too. Obviously, we're missing some pieces off of that bench as well. But they definitely have issues, whether you want to say Thibs is being stubborn, whether you want to say, obviously chemistry is going to be a thing. We said it on here before. The Knicks are going to need 20 to 30 games, to find that mojo. It's not going to click right off the bat. But there's still a few things that, I feel are concerning. And one of those is Mikal Bridges and how he looks out there,
Yeah, I guess we can get into Mikal Bridges now, but like well said. Look, it's still super early, but it doesn't give us a reason not to point at certain things where the Knicks can correct certain things, and obviously, we can just hope for the best. But Chris, Mikal Bridges, especially the game versus the Indiana Pacers, he just, in my opinion, he didn't look engaged at all defensively. He was struggling, to say the least. Offensively, he just hasn't. He's the last guy in the starting 5 to kind of find his rhythm offensively. And I feel like that's carrying over to his defense. Right now it's just his body language on the court isn't, where I would like it to be. It just looks like he's not fighting over pick and rolls with any type of aggression. And, of course, you're going to have everyone saying we traded so many picks for this guy. We, gave up the farm for this guy. And it's true. It's true. We did give up a lot of assets for this guy. And right now he is struggling. That doesn't mean in game number 35 he's gonna be the old Mikal Bridges who we want to see. But what are you seeing from Mikal? And yeah, man, it's just, I don't know. I'm just not like what I'm seeing from him right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mikal Bridges is taking tough threes, in my opinion. He's taking these fading threes in the corners, which, look, if that's his game, because look, I haven't followed Mikal Bridges too closely when he was in Brooklyn, let alone in Phoenix. But if that's his game, again, is it something with his jump shot? Did he actually, break his jump shot or something? I don't want to bring that back, but you've been seeing him kind of searching for his role in this offense, right? So sometimes he's, patrolling around, shooting his mid-range fadeaway, which I think is his bread and butter. And he should look to do more, in my opinion. But what concerns me the most about Mikal Bridges is, like you mentioned, defensively, he is just not there. It's not what we signed up for as far as what we thought we were going to get from Mikal Bridges defensively. There's just no aggression there. I mean, he's getting, he's trying to fight through pick and rolls, and he's barely like putting up a fight there. So that's what's kind of surprising me, and ultimately that's what concerns me the most.
Yeah, likewise. And look, the underlying numbers are actually like they're bad. I'm gonna go through them right now, but it's not good. Look, you ready for these numbers, Chris?
Hit me.
So Mikal Bridges has a negative 36.8 efficiency differential. That is second worst in the NBA, and he's by far played the most minutes in that group. He's around guys like Max Christie, Russell Westbrook. He's minus 12.4 points per possession when he's on the court. Offensively, the Knicks as a team. Defensively, the Knicks are allowing plus 24.4 points per possession when Bridges is on the floor. That is plus 24 points per possession when Mikal Bridges is on the floor. And now, look, this is not me pointing the finger at one person. Cat has also been struggling in terms of guarding the rim, paint protection. Josh Hart has some wonky numbers as well. But these Bridges numbers stand out, defensively especially. And you kind of see it. It's not engaged. Just, I don't know. I think it's his offense kind of carrying over to his defense. And we've heard it from Nets fans. Like, I heard it on Twitter from Nets fans that he can kind of get down on himself. And you kind of need to pick him up. And you would think now he's with, his Nova boys, his best friends, that he's having a time of his life. But, hey, the reality of the situation is he's struggling right now. And we just have to lift him up. These numbers are bad right now, but we just have to keep lifting him up. But when you see those numbers, Chris, defensively, the Knicks are allowing plus 24.4 points per possession when Bridges is on the floor.
It's the opposite of what we thought. Look,
yeah.
I mean, I think, look, if you would tell me Mikal Bridges is going to start off the season struggling on offense, but he's going to give you that defense that you're going to get from Mikal Bridges, I'd sign up for that. Yeah. Did I think Mikal Bridges was going to, have a hard time kind of fitting offensively? Yeah, of course. But did I think he was going to struggle defensively, especially when you have someone like OG Anunoby on the opposite side? No, I didn't see that at all because, look, defense is all about effort, right? And IQ. And these are two guys that, OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, that are elite defenders. Now, Mikal Bridges, whether it's his offense kind of getting into his head and, just mucking up whatever he's doing on defense, I don't know, but this is definitely not what I thought we were going to get from Mikal Bridges on the defensive end.
Yeah, and offensively, look, he's shooting 16% on non-corner threes. 16% on non-corner threes. 52% from corner threes. So, look, he's one of the best in the NBA in terms of corner threes. He's always has been in his career. Offensively, his numbers look good. The underlying stuff looks good. He's hitting at mid-range stuff, at a high rate. It's just the non-corner threes that he's struggling with. But everything else looks good. Everything else is in the red, and that's what you want to see. These are all stats from cleaning the glass. Free throw rate is a career low, just not being aggressive, trying to get to the line. But, right now it's just his defense that kind of needs to be picked up. And, his offense too. I mean, the Knicks coaching staff got to get him the ball more, get him involved. And, they try to get him involved when the bench plays. But, I mean, our two guys coming in off the bench, really know how you can justify that, but he's playing the entire first quarter. He's playing majority of the second quarter, and then he's getting subbed out mid-second quarter. So, it's just a struggle for him trying to get it going.
Yeah. I think overall what you're seeing with the Knicks is, again, chemistry, right? This has only been 9 games now, not even 10 yet. But at the same time, the coaching staff has to grow as well, right? We maybe this doesn't work. Maybe they have to go back to the drawing board and kind of find a way to get other guys involved, because we've been hearing a lot about Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, how they're going to coexist. Well, what about Mikal Bridges? They're going to have to find better ways to get him involved in this offense so that hopefully, if it is because of his offense, his defense comes back up to snuff. Because, again, Mikal Bridges not defending well and then struggling on offense and trying to find a spot. It's early. Don't get me wrong. It's early, but it makes me nervous.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I keep wanting to preface this by saying it's super early, but, a lot of Knicks fans are, they're frustrated, and for good reason. But, I mean, last season we didn't really hit our foot, or we didn't really gain our traction until January when we went on that run. So, look, we're dealing with injuries right now. No Precious, no Campaign, and Thibs just doesn't want to play anyone else. He doesn't trust anyone else on the bench right now. So you're seeing a lot of reliance on the starters, and that's the reason why, come fourth quarter they have dead legs. And look, it's just the thing I hate about it, Chris, is every time Mikal has a good game, you have the Nets, you have everyone coming out saying, "Oh, thank you for the picks, 6 first-round picks for this guy. We try to tell you." That's the thing I get so annoyed about. But I mean, guys, it's game number 9, man. I mean, it's game number 9. If we win a championship, then it's all worth it, obviously. And that's the goal.
No, absolutely. And I look, the Knicks had to make a move eventually with these picks. I didn't want the Knicks to be like OKC, just have, 13, 15 picks and not do anything with them, right? So the Knicks had to make a move. At the time, nobody knew somebody like a Giannis, which rumors are going crazy that Giannis is going to become available at some point. But nobody knew that was going to come up, I think the Knicks did the smart move, getting Mikal Bridges. Did we have to pay extra? Yeah. That's what happens when you're, making a deal that hasn't been made in forever with a crosstown rival. So, in my opinion, I don't buy into any of that stuff. Ultimately, I feel like Mikal Bridges, he's going to be fine. He's going to figure it out. But like you mentioned, a lot of Knicks fans were hoping this team was just going to click right off the jump.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. And look, 4-5, I know a lot of people would have signed up for, a 500 record, but this is pretty damn close, So it could be a lot worse. We could be 2-5 or, something like that.
Yeah, and taking a look at the East right now, no one is playing well. Look, you win in Philadelphia, you're 5-5 with a homestand coming up has some fairly winnable games, and I know the Nets are in that homestand, and the Nets play hard. I think you got the Bulls. So, look, this next game versus Philly, I think is important. Like, Chris, 5-5 versus 4-6. I know it's early in the season, but then you can be like, okay, we got through this rough schedule, 5-5, and we're still not, we still don't have our chemistry down pat. We're still trying to figure things out, and we're 500. And we have some home games, and we go on the West Coast trip, and then the schedule lightens up even more after that West Coast trip. But, it's been a wonky schedule. Mikal's still trying to get it going a little bit, but there are some things to point at. And another thing to point at, Chris, has been Tom Thibodeau's rotations. So it's a couple of injury updates. So Precious Achiuwa is out versus 76ers. Campaign, I think he will return. That's what Tom Thibodeau said. I think Deuce McBride is also questionable with, what was a knee, or something with his knee, going on with his knee. So, hopefully we can get healthy. Precious is very important to this team, man. We said it coming into the season, and when he went out, it was a blow. You're seeing that with Jericho Sims spot minutes, but Campaign, hopefully he can get back in there. But Tom Thibodeau is essentially playing, 8 guys. He is playing 8 guys, but that 8th guy versus the Pacers played 2 minutes, and that was Tyler Kolek. I know this is like some people are on Thibs' side. A lot of people don't like it. I posted a YouTube video about it, but Chris Thibs and his rotations right now, I don't know, man. I personally don't think how you can justify it. We're 9 games in the season. These guys have dead legs in the fourth quarter, and most of these losses in the fourth quarter, you just see that the starters can't overcome it. Tyler Kolek, 2 minutes versus Indiana. I don't know what to make of it. I don't. Not playing the second half. Jericho Sims, it seems like Tom Thibodeau. Look, Tom Thibodeau has always been that guy to give it 15 to 20 games, and then he makes the switch.
Yeah.
But Sims hasn't been good. So I don't know, Chris. 7-8 man rotation.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. It's too early for it, in my opinion. The season just started, right? And I'll say this about Sims. I thought he played okay against the Pacers. The effort was there. He looked more aggressive when he finally got the opportunity to get a putback dunk off of a offensive board. Yeah. So I'll give Sims a little bit of a pass. He's doing the best he can. Let's just be real. As far as Kolek playing 2 minutes, I get it. He's a rookie. But at the same time, look, when you're missing guys like Landry Shamet, Campaign, Mitch is out, Precious is out, you got to find a way to get Tyler Kolek in there. Let him make mistakes. He's a rookie. It's not like the starters don't make any mistakes, right? I mean, we saw it. We saw Mikal Bridges get backdoored a couple times. Obviously, Jalen Brunson, when the Knicks are trying to hide him on defense at times, it's with Jalen, it's not a lack of effort, but it's just, look, the defense is not his thing, right? So in my opinion, why can't you find time for Tyler Kolek out there? It's a little maddening. I think it's really early to be doing a 7-8 man rotation. And then on the flip side, you look at the Pacers. I think it was by second quarter, they basically emptied out their entire bench pretty much. And this is with them missing most of their key bench guys.
Yep.
So there was guys in there that I think were just freshly drafted this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And look, did they miss a beat? Maybe those minutes weren't great, but it brought their starters enough time to get rest. And I think ultimately that's what the Knicks needed against the Pacers. They didn't get it, and what happened? Fourth quarter, the effort on defense just really wasn't there the way we started the game.
And this is a Tom Thibodeau thing. And I've heard the argument saying with a lot of people saying, who do you want Tom Thibodeau to play? Who do you want Tom Thibodeau to play? I don't know, your first round pick maybe. I don't know, Daddier, who has shown flashes. I don't know, Ryan Dunn has been playing well in Phoenix. Phoenix Suns, Ryan Dunn, the Knicks were touting Ryan Dunn heavily.
Yep.
Everyone thought we were going to draft him. Obviously, the cap, they did altered that. But I don't know, Chris. Maybe give Daddier some time, man. Maybe show him, give him 10 spot minutes. Find him 5 to 10 spot minutes in the game.
Why not even Matt Ryan, who's supposed to be a 3-point sniper, right?
Look, I would play Daddier over Ryan, but I understand it. But to me, the Tyler Kolek 2 minutes versus the Pacers was just stupid. And I said it in the post game. This guy versus the Bucks played well. In Atlanta, he played well. And look, you have to find him. With all these guys injured, you have to give him like 15 minutes off that bench, Chris, because right now you're just heavily relying on Deuce McBride to score the basketball and basically do everything. And versus Indiana, McBride didn't really have it defensively. He's dealing with some things. He's, obviously his knee. Now he's with an illness. So with Precious, no Campaign, and Kolek hasn't really done anything to not play. And Daddier, you played him in game 1 versus Boston because you were that shorthanded. And after that, you just haven't gone back to him. So, look, I've seen the argument, who do you want Tom Thibodeau to play? He has options, man. Jericho Sims hasn't played well. Huck Porty and Kolek have chemistry together, from their time in Summer League, Chris. I don't know. I get so passionate about this, man, but it's like all of these teams give their first round picks. I know Quickly had like people always go back to Emmanuel Quickly. Like he played quickly in his rookie year. But right now you're dealing with a lot of injuries, man. Just find 10, 15-minute spot minutes. Like I'm tired of like you said, Pacers were down their entire bench, and Rick Carlisle was like, okay, I still got to play these guys. You know, I'm not going to run my starters in the ground. So, look, man, you got the bodies, use them. Daddy A can get in there. Ryan Dunn right now is balling out in Phoenix. Every time he's balling out, I'm like, damn, man. But hey, that's my little rant on Tom Thibodeau and his rotations, man.
No, and what you said is true. I mean, look, again, I get it. They're rookies, you know, Daddy A, Kolek, Hukporti even. But by them giving them, look, it's early, right? The Knicks still have plenty of time to right the ship. It's not like, you know, the sky isn't falling here. Don't get me wrong. Let the young guys play a bit, you know? You have a need to have bodies out there and get your starters rest. Let the young guys play. Let them make some mistakes. And down the road, especially at the end of the season and come playoff time, who knows? You might discover something, and these young guys will be better prepared to handle tough moments if they need to be out there. That's the way I look at it, you know? Will you lose a couple possessions here and there? Yeah, probably. But look at the Pacers. You know, they did just fine and they found a way to win. Yeah. But you never know unless you do it.
And what you said is right, man. You have to let these guys make mistakes, man. It seems like, look, Kolek has gotten caught on a couple backdoor passes. Thibs just has no time for it, and he pulls them. And in the Pacer game, Kolek got the crappy end of the stick. End of the first quarter, Knicks made a quick offensive substitution and put Brunson right back in the game. And then after that, I was like, okay, Kolek is going to play the second, right? Didn't play the whole game. Yeah. Look, man, it's November. It's not even the middle of November, and I know you're down Precious and Payne, but I can make an argument like Kolek can kind of cancel out Campaign. I can make that argument because that's how high I am on Tyler Kolek. So I know you want to put trust. This is not a shot at Campaign. Kolek has just given you no reason not to reward him with playing time. And look, man, a lot of people in the chat, I see you all in the chat, you know, everyone's really passionate about this. Old Head says Thibs has to play the bench. The starters look gassed and gave up 40 points in the fourth quarter. Yep. Wesley says the inept, stubborn coach is running this team in the ground. Thibs will be fired if he keeps this up. Old Head brings up a good point, Chris. The starters look absolutely gassed in these fourth quarters.
Yep.
And, you know, you're heavily relying on Deuce McBride to do it all. And, you know, him dealing with a bunch of stuff right now, that's a risk. And, you know, it hasn't worked. That's the thing. You're 4-5. It hasn't worked. You're playing heavy minutes. I know you want these starters to form some type of chemistry. And I know you want to get Bridges going, but we just went over the Mikal Bridges defensive numbers. Yeah. Not good. So I don't know. I know that it's like pie in the sky, man. I don't see it happening, but it is what it is, man.
I hope there's a little change at least, you know. I hope that Thibs at least goes a real 8 rotation, you know, give Tyler Kolek or whomever
that's it.
Some run, just enough to spell these guys. You know, we're not asking them to play 20, 30 minutes. We're talking about 5, maybe 10 minutes, you know, if you want to make it a 9-man at that. But I just think, again, I think it's too early to be doing this. You know, maybe you can argue this is a way to get the chemistry gelling even faster by just having the starters out there the majority of the minutes. But in my opinion, I think you're just risking tiring out these guys and potentially getting, you know, injured. And that's something I don't want to see, you know, because I see OG Anunoby out there who's been playing amazing offensively and defensively. And I'm just like, every time he falls to the ground, he's huffing and puffing. Like, the dude is just tired. And I'm just like, please give this guy a rest. But no, Thibs is just, you know, he's stuck in his ways. I hope he changes, but the reality is he's most likely not going to make any changes, at least not now.
Yeah, and to answer everyone's question is, who do you want him to play? Ariel Hukporti, Pacom Daddier, and Tyler Kolek 15 minutes and just let him play those 15 minutes. and make him make mistakes, let the rookie ball out, and he has been showing you promise signs in the time that he has played. So to answer everyone's question, who do you want him to play? You got guys off the bench. You just brought in Matt Ryan, like Chris said. You can find different pockets of different situations, even if it's like 2-3 minutes spurts. Run a couple of offensive sets and then pull them. If it doesn't work out, okay. But we'll never know if it doesn't happen. But the Tyler Kolek 2-minute thing was frustrating to me. Appreciate every single one of you guys in here. Hit some of these comments. Dorkosaurus says, if missing every defensive assignment meant you should get benched forever, then Cat, Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and even sometimes Josh Hart literally never play or develop. Look, those guys have enough pedigree that, he's going to roll with his guys and for obvious reasons. But defensively, Chris, even like the underlying numbers for Mikal are terrible. Karl Anthony Towns, we could touch on this right now, is allowing opponents to shoot 32 of 35 in the restricted area. That is 91%. That is great. But, he's been amazing other than, kind of guarding the rim. And when I'm watching these games, I really don't. Like, I'm not like, the Knicks need. Obviously, that's why Minnesota traded for Gobert. And, when Mitch comes back, that'll change. But like you said, Chris, Anunoby's been great. Brunson, he has 31 assists in his last 4 games. He's been great ever since that Hawks game. We wanted him to, really distribute. He's been great. Josh Hart he's having a career year. Josh Hart, believe it or not. All of his numbers are up. Rebounding's up. Offense is up. So Brunson, Cat, Hart, and Anunoby are having, these great years offensively. It's just defensively is the issue right now. Cat's allowing 91% at the rim. Bridges is having his struggles, Chris. So, yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, look, when it comes to Cat and defending the paint, look, he can get blocks, obviously. He can get stops. I know 91% is ridiculous. But at the same time, look, that's the trade-off with Cat. That is the trade-off with Cat. That's why I've always said I'm not really comfortable with him playing the 5.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why he's played the 4 the majority of his, career, right? He's able to stretch the floor. He's able to give you the benefits of having that type of offensive firepower, for your team. But on the flip side, he gets into foul trouble at times. He can miss a rotation here and there. He's not an all defensive type of player, and like you mentioned, that's why Minnesota had Rudy Gobert, and that's why they were able to make it work ultimately between him and Gobert. But, but whether Mitch comes back and they put him at the 5 and move Towns down at the 4, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think Cat has been, the issue in my opinion, even on the defensive end.
I don't think
Can
so
it
either.
drive you? Can it drive you a little bit crazy when he does some dumb things, or everybody's used to having someone like iHeart back there or Mitch just contesting every single shot that's going up? Yeah. No. I mean, that's not Cat, but I just think overall, and we saw it in the Pacers game, right? The Knicks had a lead going late into that game. They couldn't hold on, and it's no surprise the Pacers went on a crazy run, almost hitting every 3 they took. And it was because they were wide open. Rotations were being missed. The extra effort wasn't there on defense. And to me, again, and I hate to harp on this, I think it's just tired legs. These guys are gassed.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. Looking at I know 91% at the rim, allowing 91% at the rim for Cat isn't great. So you can't really defend that. His rebounding has been good. The offensive rebounding, I think, has been good. Block percentage is low this year for the amount of times people are attacking him. 1.4% block percentage, but like you said, I don't know. I feel like Bridges defensively is more of an issue than Cat, but they're both, when combining Bridges, Brunson, and Cat not playing well defensively, that's going to cause for a concern. And we went over the Bridges numbers earlier. Those of you just joining, Mikal Bridges. The New York Knicks are minus 36.8 efficiency differential for Mikal Bridges. That's second worst in the NBA. They are minus 12.4 points per possession when Mikal Bridges is on the court offensively. And the New York Knicks are defensively allowing plus 24.4 points per possession when Bridges is on the court. Those numbers are bad, all bad defensively. And he just has to get it together. But, yeah, Chris, offensively, look, the Knicks are, believe it or not, in terms of rating, I think the Knicks are like top 5, top 6 or something like that in the NBA. Like, they've been good offensively, and that's with Mikal still not finding it.
Right.
But, boy, man, I mean, defensively, we're not used to that from these Knicks.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess that's the most frustrating part about it, right? Because again, going to the previous season, things were just clicking with that group. But
Yeah.
they had the continuity, and now we don't. And now these guys just have to figure out. Obviously, the chemistry is still a work in progress. But again, Mikal Bridges struggling the way he is on defense is concerning. Obviously we got to give them time. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But yeah, it's not what you want to see. That's for sure.
Up here, I have the Knicks plus and minus leaders. CM said it's not that hard to get a rim protector. Look, there's been an argument, Chris. Why won't you start, maybe a center alongside Cat? Obviously when Robinson comes back, I do think, look, these numbers are bad. This is exactly why I think when Mitchell Robinson comes back, he's going to start. These are the reasons why I think Mitchell Robinson is going to be right back in that starting lineup. And then you can have kind of, Cat doing his thing offensively with Mitchell Robinson down there. But Knicks plus and minus leaders, I know this is kind of like a wonky stat, but right at the bottom is Mikal Bridges at minus 19, Kolek minus 7. But I think that's so unfair for Kolek because he gets like 2 minutes, and then in those 2 minutes, if they score like 5 points, he's going to get a minus. But Campaign plus 8, Hart plus 10, Jericho Sims plus 12.
Hey.
But obviously Brunson, Anunoby, Deuce, Cat, all at the top. So, yeah, man, just got to get it together with Bridges, man.
Yeah. I think the most frustrating thing is and you could tell me how you feel, but my view of it is a lot of these losses the Knicks have had, they're just beating themselves. They're literally beating themselves in a way. A lot of these games we had leads going in late, and it's things that last year the Knicks would have won these types of games.
Yeah.
But again, chemistry needs to be built up. And I'm sure 20, 30 games down the line, and I hate to keep saying it, I know we'll be fine, but these are the growing pains we're going to go through, guys.
Yeah, and look, I tweeted on Twitter, I'm not concerned about Mikal Bridges' offensive game. It's just his body language right now is what's kind of bothering me. Old Head says, call me crazy, but Sims seems like he would work next to Cat, a big that is needed to defend and rebound. Mikal and OG look better defensively when they play the 2 and 3. That's another thing, Chris, about Anunoby. I wanted to watch his rebounding, and let me try to get the numbers really quick, excuse me. But Anunoby's rebounding, look, Anunoby's playing the 4, right? And he's doing a hell of a job. But if you want to kind of pick at one thing about Anunoby is that for his position, he's playing the 4. He's not a great rebounder. Only 9.8% of the time he's grabbing a defensive rebound, 26th percentile at his position. That's literally his only wart in his game is his rebounding. And you're asking a lot from Cat. You're asking a lot from Cat, man. You're asking him a lot. He's doing this offensively, balling out, and you're asking him to be a rim protector, gobble these rebounds, offensive rebounds, be a shot blocker. So, yeah. But yeah, that's the one little wart in Anunoby's game is the rebounding. But, I don't know. Do you tinker with the lineup? Do you start a big next to Cat until Mitch comes back? When Precious comes back, do you play Precious and Cat?
I don't. If you were telling me that Thibs is going to get Porty involved in some way, and maybe you can have Sim start with a Karl Anthony Towns, and maybe push Josh Hart to the bench, have Mikal at the 2, OG at the 3. It's intriguing. Do I think Thibs is going to do that? Not while Mitch is still out, in my opinion. But that is intriguing. That is something that's intriguing because look, again, we're going back to the Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns thing. There's a reason why they did that. You know, there's a reason everybody thought they were crazy, but obviously Minnesota knew something at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And look, we have Mitch in the chamber. Hopefully he can get healthy soon. But got a poll in the YouTube chat. What are you most concerned with the most? A, Thibs rotation. B, Mikal Bridges. 3, the Knicks defense. Thibs rotation is winning the poll at 52%. Chris, people hate it. People
I had a
hate
feeling.
it.
I had a feeling.
They don't understand it, and we don't understand it. I know.
Yeah, look, I mean, what NBA team at this point in time is running a 7 or 8 man rotation at that? I think the majority, at a minimum, is 10.
And I look at the Golden State Warriors are running like 11 man out there. Like, it's crazy. I know that's not sustainable. Like, I don't. The thing about this, Chris, I don't want to sound like the minute police, but I don't care about this in the playoffs. Like, he can do whatever he wants to do in the playoffs. I don't care. You play your best players in the playoffs, but I know you're dealing with injuries. Like, there's a part of me who's like, why do I keep preaching this if I know nothing is gonna change? But I just have to get off my frustration. Keith Turner says, why are we waiting for Mitchell Robinson? Like, what is he supposed to do? You want to answer that, Chris?
I mean, look, it's another body, right? It's a body that Thibs trusts. Somebody who's going to be out there, and it's not going to be a rookie, right? That's going to be hidden. But obviously, if the Knicks decide to start a Mitchell Robinson once he comes back, he'd be basically that Rudy Gobert type, right?
Yeah.
Plug him right in. You can move Cat down to the 4. I feel like, again, you strengthen your bench if you have Josh Hart coming off of it. And then you're running a lineup of Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Karl Anthony Towns, and Mitchell Robinson.
Yep.
So I think that makes sense. We've heard a lot of news that the Knicks made this trade for Towns with the vision of him being the 5. So maybe that doesn't happen. But look, at this point, I just feel the Knicks need bodies that Thibs trust, obviously, because obviously he's not going to play the rookies. And a lot of these games, again, I still feel like they're, look, I'm not going to say the guys are playing crazy minutes, but we just want them to rest for like 2-3 minutes so that at the end of these games, they actually have the legs to finish the game strong. And we won't see things like what happened against the Pacers the other night, where they just fizzled out and could not defend anything.
Look, I know, what's up? Part of the fan base right now is not for Mitchell Robinson. Like, they're over him. They're over his injuries. They kind of want to move on from Mitchell Robinson. So I think Keith is kind of on that side of the spectrum. But when Mitchell Robinson is healthy, let's not forget, he is an elite rim protector. He's an elite offensive rebounder. And for his position, he's a great defender and beat stopper, by the way.
Yeah.
F Embiid. It's always F Embiid. Of course, he's going to return versus us. But
we'll see him soon.
But look, I don't know if Mitchell Robinson, when he comes back, starts or not. But I think the Knicks, when he comes back, I think the Knicks will look at it. And I think even if he doesn't start, I think you're going to see lineups of Mitch and Cat on the floor. So, hey, that's something to worry about in January. But right now, we just have to get healthy with Precious coming back. And, we're just going through these options because right now, Karl Anthony Towns has allowed 32 or 35 in the restricted area. That is 94%. 91%, excuse me. That's not good. And, I'm not pointing a finger at Cat. You're asking him to do a lot. These guys are still adjusting. But, when you have a coach that only trusts his guys and, those guys need to come back. If Tom Thibodeau is not going to deviate from his plan, right? If he's not going to be like, okay, let me see what Daddy can give me for 10 minutes. Okay, let me play Kolek out there for 15 minutes because campaign is out. Let me see what Huck Porty can give me because Jericho Sims kind of looks like a deer in the headlights sometimes. if he's not going to deviate from his plan, the best we can do is hope for these guys stay healthy, and two, form some crazy chemistry, and I think they will. Offensively, they seem like they have, besides Mikal, but yeah, I mean, it's just 9 games in. I mean, no one's panicking here. We all knew this was going to occur. I think the Heat, when they formed the Big Three, they started like 8 or 9 or something like that. Not comparing ourselves to the Heat, but as we get healthy, I do see us getting better and better as a team.
Look, we have way too much talent to be mediocre the entire way, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna figure it out. It's just a matter of time, in my opinion. And obviously, we've said this in the season preview. Health is gonna be one of the biggest factors to what the Knicks do this season. And look, some guys are already banged up, and hopefully, once they come back, things will stabilize. So, there's no secret we're missing someone like iHeart, right? The offensive boards, just the rim protection. And don't forget, like you mentioned, that Mitchell Robinson is that type of player. He's going to get you those offensive boards. He's going to swallow up the defensive boards. He's going to block shots. He's going to alter shots. He's going to do those things. And whether that means Cat plays the 4 or if Cat even stays at the 5, again, I don't feel like Cat is necessarily the problem. And I know maybe those stats are a little bit skewed because who knows how they're actually, is this while Cat is the main defender in the paint? Maybe he's just coming over to help and they're counting that as part of the percentage or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I think overall we will be fine. We're going to figure this out. Still early, not even 10 games yet, right?
Yeah. Win in Philly, you're 5-5, and you got through a kind of a tough stretch, 5-5, with everything going on, your injuries. 5-5. If you would have asked me before the season, you're dealing with a precious injury, campaign injury, and you got through the tough 10 games, 5-5. I would have been like, okay. Obviously there's some things to work on. Mikal needs to step it up. Body language needs to be where it's at. Defensively, he needs to lock in and be engaged. Obviously there's some things to work out, but Thibs rotations right now are kind of the hot topic. But speaking of Towns, this is from Bondi. So after the Pacer game, Towns sat with his feet in the ice bucket, staring into nothing with a look of disappointment all over his face. He was locked into this pose for several minutes before verbally expressing his dour mood. So I think Towns later said, I know it's still early right now, but game 9 means just as much as game number 82. I think that's what Towns said in the post game. And look, these guys want to win. Towns is playing amazing, incredible. So I know those defensive numbers aren't kind to him, but I think everything else kind of masked that. But yeah, Chris, these guys want to win. Towns wants to win.
Yeah, and I love that. I love that he said that because ultimately it's the truth, right? You talk about a Knicks team that basically, what did people say the past few seasons? Under Thibs, they play every game hard. They want to win every single game. Where most NBA teams probably take a night off here and there. They rest their guys here and there. Thibs doesn't do that, right? So, look, that's something I feel like this Knicks team needs. Losing Dante, losing Julius, we lost that, that aggression, that toughness, in my opinion. And that's part of the chemistry that we also need. We need back, right? I feel like, those things will come. I hope they do, because that was a big part of this team's identity the past season. It was, we're going to go out there, we're going to fight every possession, we're going to give it all we got.
Yeah.
And look, with this team losing a lot of these bench pieces, a lot of guys being out at the moment, I think you see the fight, maybe not to the extent that you saw at the prior season, but, I don't know, man. I don't know. Do you think we'll ever get back to that point where this team is just, they're clicking on all cylinders and they have that, that chip on their shoulder, per se?
I do, but I don't think that happens until the new year. I think, it takes some time. These guys got to get healthy. I think when Mitchell Robinson comes back, then the New York Knicks become a formidable team in the NBA. I think Mitch is kind of that piece that, I know a lot of people disagree with this, but what we see in these first 10 games is, boy, oh boy, man. Isaiah Hartenstein, absence in terms of like just a presence down low, and Mitchell Robinson especially. So, I think when we get to that point, I think that this Knicks team can kind of hit their stride with everyone healthy. If they decide to go the route of Mitch starting, or if they don't, it gives them options. So I do, man. They didn't make that Mikal trade for no other reason. I know that's asking a lot from Mitch. He's gone through a lot of injuries. He can come back and just not look the same. But I do think, over time, Mikal Bridges will get it together, because he has to. Because if he doesn't, people are going to start to call that trade one of the worst trades of all time if he doesn't get it together. And you're already seeing it 9 games in, which is crazy. So I believe in Mikal. I do.
But you knew that was going to come, especially from, Brooklyn Nets fans and really fans all over the NBA, really, if you think about it. It's almost like the Knicks have a target, right?
Yeah, they do. And it's still super early, but, a couple of – look, Brunson is playing amazing. Chris Cat is playing amazing. I think Cat is still shooting 54% from 3, 22 or 41 from 3. Brunson is 43% from 3, and Anunoby's 42% from 3. So it's just Josh Hart is 29% from 3, and Bridges is 33% from 3. But, offensively, man, they look good. I'm not really seeing anything besides Mikal's, threes from non-corner threes that are really kind of standing out. But even Mikal Bridges mid-range, he's shooting 58% from mid-range. He's 25 of 43. That's great. Short mid-range, he's 56%. That's great. So it's little things like this where you can build on and kind of maybe get him going, and hopefully that'll get his confidence going from 3. But yeah, Josh Hart career year. It's just defensively this Knicks team has to lock down, and that could just be Precious comeback, because Precious Achiuwa is so valuable to this Knicks team, and you're seeing the absence of him. He is a great defender. He's a good shot blocker, and he's a dog. So the absence of Precious has shown, Yeah. So it could just be that.
I agree,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think getting Precious back, and I know he's trending in the right direction, but look, getting Precious back, I think, helps us. Obviously, it's another body, that's going to spell rest for these guys as well. So, Precious, please get well soon. We need you on the court as soon as possible.
Yeah, and he's like Chris said, he's trending in the right direction. He's not going to be back for the Philly game. Payne is looking like he's trending in the right direction. Just got to watch Deuce McBride with that knee injury, and his illness and whatnot. Like, look, this game versus Philly, obviously it's going to be an emotional game. Joel Embiid's coming back. Philly's not really playing well. They just had an emotional win versus Charlotte Hornets. Their rookie played well. Jared
McCain.
Yeah. It's nice to, have rookies that get time, but I know I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying. So, if they win, they can feel good about themselves. Philly, hey, we're a game back of the Knicks. Knicks are kind of reeling, but this is why this next game versus Philly, Chris, is important in my opinion. Kind of spoil it's an NBA Cup game. It's their first NBA Cup game. So I know Embiid's probably going to be on a minute restriction. Paul George has been on a minute restriction. So this game's important, right? I mean, I feel like if you win versus Philly, get to 5-5, then you come home, and then you can start to pile on some wins, get Precious back maybe. So this Philly game, in my opinion, is important.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is. You always want to get a win against a team like Philly, especially if you're the Knicks, right?
Yeah,
you always want to go in there and maybe not make a statement, but you definitely want to fight and get that win. Especially when you got Embiid, you don't know what he's going to look like. Obviously, 76ers start to the season has been probably worse than what us Knicks fans are thinking we're going through, at this point in time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The Philly's been a mess, Maxi's going to be out. I think he's going to be out for a couple of weeks, actually. Pulled a hamstring or something like that. And again, Paul George already was injured previously, came back. Embiid, big question mark. So, in my opinion, Knicks got to go and get this win. It's there for them to take it.
Get to 5-5 and let's roll. Let's go home and win some of these games. Gian says in the chat, Cat is a great help defender. Remember him and Gobert containing Jokic in the playoffs. Cat was amazing versus Jokic in the playoffs, man. So the Knicks have to kind of figure out different ways where to get another big body defender in there when that's Mitchell, if that's Mitchell Robinson, or if that's Precious Achiuwa playing alongside Cat, or maybe I don't know, Huck Porty can get some time, or maybe that's Sims. It has to be one of them. But Cat, when he's being relying to be, just everything is on his shoulders defensively, because he's the guy that kind of is like basically our only big right now that's playing well. You're asking a lot from him right now, and that contributes to the struggles on in the restricted area. So hopefully when Precious comes back, like we've been saying, that can alleviate some of the pressure from Karl Anthony Towns, and that's what we have to hope. Westchester Lester says Philly doing worse makes me feel better. Yeah, but look, if they beat us, I don't want to if they beat us in the cup game, they're gonna start to feel good about themselves. This is why I keep saying this game is important. So you want to go there, you want to kind of, keep their crappy season going, and you want to come back home to a 500 record. You got the Nets, I think, twice, and the Brooklyn Nets are no pushover. These guys play hard. The East is crazy right now. You got the Bulls, I think. So just 5-5 to end this 10-game stretch, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And look, I think the Philly game, again, I think that Philly game is there for the Knicks to take it.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how, Embiid matches up with Cat. I'm sure Cat's going to make him, for the first time, we're going to be able to see Cat actually pull Embiid out of the paint, get him somewhere that he's not wanting to be, and hopefully destroy Embiid. But I think the Knicks will get the win against the 76ers. But like you mentioned, the Bulls, the Brooklyn Nets, there's no layups anymore out there. I guess maybe you could say Detroit would be a layup, but a lot of these teams are playing well. They're playing well. So, Knicks got to go out there and they got to figure it out.
Yeah, just taking a look at their schedule. Look, at Philly versus Chicago versus Brooklyn, home and home versus Brooklyn versus Washington. Look, dare I say, you beat Philly, you can kind of run this table, kind of get a winning streak going. I know it's super early. I know it's asking a lot. I know it's hard to win these back-to-back games versus Brooklyn. It's always hard to win 2 games in a row versus a team. Then you go out west, no Kevin Durant. Utah Jazz stink. Denver's playing well. Dallas, that's going to be tough. At Charlotte. And then the month of December heading into January is when the New York Knicks can really get fat on some of these wins, Chris. So get through this stretch, win versus Philly, and we just go from there. But a lot of things to work on. Mikal Bridges, get it together, please. Defensively especially, be more aggressive on those pick and rolls. Be more engaged. And the thing is, I don't know, the body language isn't there. I know Nets fans were, they kind of warning me on Twitter saying this was Mikal all of last season. He just looked disengaged. So hopefully, playing. That's why the Knicks brought in Campaign and Landry Shamet, kind of his boys to kind of, him to play with. So hopefully Campaign coming back can kind of help him out a little bit. But, that's the guy I want to see have a good game versus Philly, man. Give me 25 points, 2-3 steals, good from 3 to shut us all up, and then we're good. But, it's been a struggle for him. So.
Yeah, and a question for you, Ant. Do you think maybe they're just Mikal Bridges and maybe even Karl Anthony Towns for that matter just don't like the defensive plan that Thibs is rolling out there? I mean, we have Cat obviously in drop coverage. Do you see it, maybe them switching and going to something a bit different?
Indiana was attacking them a lot. Bridges was just looking lost around the pick and rolls. Cat isn't really reading the pick and rolls well. So that's probably going to be a subject that the Knicks are working on, is that pick and roll where they're attacking Cat and they're going to attack Bridges. With Philly, I think it's going to be easier because you don't have that guard, that you don't have Tyrese Maxey. Knicks would have probably thrown Mikal at Maxey, and all you have is really Embiid. So you don't really have that guard besides Paul George to kind of run through those pick and rolls. And I think OG Anunoby will obviously guard Paul George in the minutes that he plays. But I think this is a game, because of what Philly is throwing out there, that Mikal Bridges can get it going defensively, and because of no Maxey. And I just want to see that. But in terms of, do I think, I just think it's going to take time for them. Like with anything, I just think it's going to take time. So I just want him to, I just don't like what I'm seeing the body language from him. It's just not.
Yeah.
You know.
You could see it. He's pressing, and that's for sure. Obviously, he wants to do well, and maybe he's putting a lot more on his shoulders. So hopefully, Mikal and I mean, look, Cat's been great, and hopefully Mikal can figure it out because, like you mentioned, top 6, top 5 offensive team in this league, and that's without Mikal Bridges firing on all cylinders. So, or this team for that matter, firing on all cylinders.
And think about it, the positive sides. Mikal Bridges was a basket away from the Knicks, I think, was it 7 or 8 straight games with the starters scoring in all 5 starters scoring in double digits, and that would have been another Knicks record. So the balance has been there, and it's just going to come with time. I know a lot of people don't want to hear that. I know we live in such like a reactionary society, but we just want to preach the patience. But we touched on the Thibs rotation. We hate that. We're all in agreement that we hate that. I know a lot of people would say, "Who do you want Thibs to play?" Well, he got guys to play. We hate the rotations, but there's nothing we can do about it. I mean, he's not going to change. It just sucks. But just win versus Philly, and we good from there. We good.
At least for that night.
At least for that night. All right, Chris, ready for trivia?
Let's do it.
Those of you who are just joining, we do a trivia every single podcast episode. Appreciate every single one of you in here. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you're on the app or Spotify, please leave us a review. It really helps us out on that side of the spectrum. Those of you on YouTube, just head over to app or Spotify, type in Knicks Nation. You see Chris and I. Please follow the audio podcast. It really helps us out as well. Appreciate you giving us your time on this Monday evening. All right, Chris. Out of the left, random question on a Monday evening. Which Knicks player appeared in the movie Black and White? Is it A, Allen Houston? Is it B, Glenn Rice? Is it C, Marcus Camby? Or is it D, Latrell Sprewell?
Man, I don't even know this movie. I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm just gonna go with what I believe the most popular player there is. I'm gonna say A, Allen Houston, because I don't think it would be Glenn Rice. I don't think it would be Marcus Camby. I could see Latrell Sprewell, but I'm gonna go A, Allen Houston.
You gotta go A, Allen Houston.
Yeah.
Is that your final answer?
Final. I see Old Head and CM also saying Houston A. I'm gonna go with A.
It could be wrong. You sure? All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my gut.
The answer is A, Allen Houston.
Let's go.
Allen Houston appeared in the movie Black and White. I thought you knew your movies, man. But hey, you guessed it right.
Not that one. But I'm going to have to check it out now. Just for the cameo.
Look, I was scrambling for questions before the episode. I'm not gonna lie to you, but yeah, Allen Houston. Shout out to Allen Houston, man. One of my favorite Knicks of all time. I think I pretty much became a Knicks fan because of Allen Houston. Those of you that don't know, but I just loved his game. Dealt with injuries. Wore my favorite number 20. Shout out to Allen Houston, man. Always see him around the Knicks.
Once a Knick, always a Knick.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Anything else you want to touch on before we head up on out of here, Chris? Touch on a lot. Just winning Philly.
Want that win. Want that first NBA Cup win against Philly. I hope the Knicks go out there and make a statement. And Thibs, please consider a 9-man at the least. Give these guys some rest so we can finish these games strong.
Yes, sir. Shout out to Old Head. Shout out to CM. What's going on, CM? Who got it right? Keith said Latrell. No, it was Allen Houston. Also, Mike Tyson. Raekwon was in black and white.
Hey.
Interesting tidbit there, Old Head. Appreciate you.
Check that out.
Yeah. I'm going to check it out, too. But, hey, man, just win in Philly. Get to 5-5, and then you're coming back home for some winnable games. That's it, man. I have faith in this team. It's still super early. Knicks are, starting to get healthy here, and hopefully we can just go from there. But this was fun, Chris. Another episode in the books.
Another one down.
Another one down. Many more to go. I'm Anthony from Knicks Nation.
I'm Chris.
We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.